Hey guys, welcome to Chapter 5, Section 2. In this section we're going to talk about the in clause, which basically allows us to search for certain values that we can put in a list. And up to this point we've done quite a bit. I think we've touched on just about all the foundations that you need in order to work and administer a MySQL database. We still need to touch on a couple more things. I want to talk about subqueries and some of the math functions that we can use. But in this video, we're going to talk about the in clause. And before I go any further, I want to mention that I did add a little bit to this database, and I'll have that in your program files. What I did was I added some more customers. Alright, so you can see we have quite a bit of customers here. Same fields, everything's the same. I just added some data. Alright, and if I go to customer addresses, I've added some more addresses and I've linked that to the customer. I did change a few things. I changed all the main streets and I actually put the real name of a street, and I put a real zip code as opposed to what we did have, just so it looks a little bit neater and it looks more real, because this is what you'll be dealing with when you're dealing with a real database. And you can find sample databases online. I know that the MySQL, the official MySQL site, has a couple really nice sample database. I think they have an employee database and a couple other ones, but those are always good to work with because adding this data can be quite tedious. Whether you're using the insert or you're writing out the queries, it can take up a lot of time. So I just wanted to mention that. And one other thing I did update was in the reviews table, I made sure that the customer has this product. I made sure that they bought that in the orders. Oh yeah, I also did that. I added some orders. Alright, so these are just all the customers and their products. I believe every customer purchased at least one product. Alright, so let's get into the in clause. Go to my SQL window. Alright, so what I'm going to do first is just write out a query, and I want to search for the city and state values for all the customers that live in either Massachusetts, Maryland, or Florida. So we can do that with the OR conditional statement. So we'll say select city and state from customer addresses where state is equal to Massachusetts, and or I want to say or state is equal to Maryland, or state is equal to, let's say, Florida. And then we'll order that by the state. Alright, so let me copy that. And let's run that. And you can see we have all the city, we have the city name and the state name of every customer that lives in these three states. Alright, so that's fine. I mean, the query is a little long and redundant, but no big deal. But what if we had 15 states that we wanted to search for? We would have to type this string, state equals the state and then or. We'd have to type that out 15 times. What we can do is use the in clause to search for these. So we can do this. We just get rid of that and we say where state in, and then we want to open some parentheses, and we can say Mass, Maryland, and Florida. Alright, so we can do this instead, and this is much easier. We just have some comma separated values that we punch into the in function or the in clause. Alright, so let me copy that. And I just copy these just so I can run them again if I need to after we already run it once. So you can see that we have the same exact output that we had with the OR statements. Just much simpler. Now, what if you wanted to get all the customer addresses that did not live in those states, that lived in the opposite states, that's quite easy to do. All we have to say is not in. So we can use the not in clause. And if we do that, you can see we have all the states that were not included in that list. Alright, so that's the foundation of the in clause. Let's do a query that's a little more complicated and neater. What I want to do is do the same thing, but I want to join in the customers table, and I want to put the customer's full name, first name and last name, along with their city and state. Alright, so we'll do that. Now when I write long queries, I like to separate them, so I'll say just select, and then we'll do each field that we want to search for on a separate line. So we'll say customers dot first name, and I'm going to make it a little neater by using aliases. So we want it as first name, that looks a little better. Customers dot last name as last name, and then customers addresses dot city as city. We don't need parentheses because it's one word. Customer addresses dot state as state. Alright, so we want to select that from customer addresses, and then we want to join. We're going to do an inner join. We're going to inner join customers on. Alright, so remember, when we do a join, we have to do an on because we need to connect the two fields. We need to make the relationship. So we're going to say customer addresses dot customer equals customers dot ID. Alright, and then finally we want our where and in clause, or where in clause. So we'll say where state in Mass, what else did I do? Maryland and Florida. Okay, and then we just want to order it. By the way, you don't have to use capital, you don't have to use uppercase like I do for the keywords, but I just think it just looks a little better, and you can see it's more prominent. So we'll still order it by state. Alright, so let me copy this, let's run this, make sure it works. Alright, so unknown column, customers, oh, I put an S on customers, that should be, no, that's right. Customers, address, where is it? Oh, right here. Customers addresses, this should be customer addresses. Alright, so now we have the same info, we have the same 3 states, but we also have the first and last name, which are coming from the customers table, so that looks a little neater. Alright, so that basically, that query covers a few things. It covers table joins, it covers the in clause, and aliases, or aliases. So I'm going to stop it here, and next I want to talk about subqueries and some of the math functions that are available to us.